Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it, you already know. Like a torta with some bad habits. Bye up, bye up. Let's get to this intro. Welcome back to the channel, and if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, make sure you go ahead and do that. Put your notification bell on. Let me lift this up here, right? Put your notification bell on all, so that way you're directing the direction of the dope content that the gun stays kicking. And I highly appreciate the support, man. I'm very humbled, and it's very real over here. As you can see, everything's discombobulated right now. I could not sleep last night. My eyes are red. Shit's all messed up. I woke up to dog shit everywhere. It's all bad, right? Anyways, 50 shots and 5 guns. This is a Stockton mass. I still call it the mass shooting, not the gang shooting, but the Stockton mass shooting update. And so the sheriff made a statement because the world wants to know, but the community of Stockton wants to know what the hell is going on. Why haven't you caught this individual or individuals who pulled up to this little kid's birthday party and shot it up? Okay. Why is it taking so long? Well, there's a lot of complex situations in an investigation, I'm sure, and the detective has to dot his I's and cross his T's before they can make an arrest. Like, I'm pretty sure, right? Even the sheriff saying it might take months, weeks to months for them to find out. I'm pretty sure they already have some leads. You know, the streets talk tremendously. Social media talks even more, right? And people in Stockton are fed up. So I'm sure there's somebody out of the 150 people that were at that party that said a little something. Now, we already know it was a gang-related shooting. We already know that the word on the curb is rappers were being targeted for lyrics and things that they said as well as gang affiliation. We know that. But the sheriff let us in on some more information. And some of the information he let us know was there was over 50 shots fired at this party, okay? And 5 guns recovered. Now, what does that mean? That doesn't mean just it could have been 5 different individuals with 5 different guns shooting, right? It could have been just one individual with a mask on going in blasting, or 2 individuals and there was some firing back going on. Regardless of the fact, there was 50 shots that rang out at that little girl's birthday party, that 2-year-old's birthday party. Wow. I'm surprised only that many people, I think it's the totals up to 15 or 17 injured, 4 dead, that they got hurt. Could have been a lot more. Could have been worse, right? It's still astonishing and amazing to even think about any fucking poop butt going into a little kid's birthday party and shooting it up because he had his ops in sight, right? It's crazy. The sheriff did also release that although they are saying, a lot of social media and big-time media outlets are saying it's gang-related, they don't quite want to put that label on it. One day they do, the next day they don't, right? First, they want to downgrade it from a mass shooting to a gang-related shooting, so that way they could use whatever these laws that they have to give these individuals, these suspects, more time. And then the next day, he wants to do a press conference saying, well, we're not necessarily focusing in on the gang aspect of it. We're thinking more along the lines of just some fucking deranged individual that went in there shooting. That is not the truth. The truth is, you know, let's just keep it real. The truth is, these rappers in these cities like Stockton, Sacramento, Modesto, Merced, the Bay, LA, everywhere, they have these online beefs. They have these war of words. You know, I'll kill you, you'll kill me, I'll kill you back. You take 1 of ours, we're taking 10 of yours. That's usually how the lyrics go, right? They just rhyme a little bit better than I can because I'm not a fucking rapper, nor am I a clapper. I don't do neither one. But I will say that there are a lot of guys that take that to heart. They take it as disrespect. They feel like, oh, hell nah. This person went online, put a song out there on Apple Music, right, where he's disrespecting my dead homeboys. He's disrespecting me, my kids, my family. No. Eventually, he brought it to him in HD. So, who's to blame? Everybody's to blame, okay? It's not just the suspects. It's the whole gaggle of fucking people that were involved in this. Will we ever know the truth? Absolutely. In a case like this, we're going to know all the truths because they will arrest someone. And I believe when the sheriff is throwing a press conference and saying, oh, it could take months. No, he's just preparing people for a timeline so that way they could focus more on what they got going on. Believe they got suspects already. I already know it. Like I said, within this week, maybe we'll give them the benefit of the doubt to next week. But people are not playing. There's a lot of people in that community, a lot of people that are representatives of that community that want to see something happen. And then, of course, there's a lot of gang members and people that are living that street criminal life that are like, it ain't never going to happen. These guys are going to get away with it. I'm here to tell you in high definition, they will never get away with killing babies. It just doesn't happen. It's not the way the world works. It's not the karma that they deserve, nor is it the way God's hand works, right? God's plan. I told you guys, man, anytime children are hurt or murdered, believe me, the law enforcement is going to do everything possibly they can, humanly possible, to catch these people who did it, because it starts becoming bigger than just a shooting at a party, right? Which with that, enough is enough for me, right? That's very, very too much, right? But what it does is it starts involving law enforcement and, people wondering if they could do their jobs right. People are wondering if they're going to vote this sheriff back in next month or next year if he can't if you can't catch a fucking person who went in on broad daylight and shot up a fucking party with 150 people. Look, I know they were masked up. He did release that the persons that went in there did have black hoodies on, whether it was one or more individuals. He just said the suspect had a black hoodie on and a face covering. Of course, that's typical. Okay, I would highly doubt that anyone that planned and executed a shooting to this caliber would go in unmasked. But that doesn't mean anything, man. I mean, shit, all you had to do was look at that fucking video of 6ix9ine and you could realize by the size of the nose and the tightness of the pants that there was an island boy, right? We're not stupid. People know. There's so many fucking Inspector Gadgets on social media, so many fucking true crime detectives that everybody knows everything before I know it, and I just tell you about it. And that's just the facts. So the Stockton sheriff did do a press conference, and there was a lot of nuggets of truth and a lot of nuggets of, okay, I see what you're doing here. And one of them was that 50 shots rang out. 50 shots. Imagine being in a little girl's birthday party. Unbeknownst to you, man, there's several gang members there. Now, I highly doubt, I'm sure there was civilians there. There was kids, obviously. There was people that don't live that life. But the core of that party was a group or a gang, right? There was a lot of people wearing red clothing. There was a lot of people gang affiliated with tattoos. I mean, it's not hard to look around and say, okay, there's some gang members in them there, Hills, right? You realize it. And, I myself have been to parties where it was, I have a homeboy, his old lady's a homegirl, right? Not really in the mix, but she's with this one thing about the ladies. Once you start dating a man who's in the mix, part of a gang or lives that street life, all his shit lands on your plate. Everything that he's got going on can affect you. I remember one time a homegirl calling us like, hey, I'm saying, these fools are tripping. They keep mugging me, because they knew who her old man was. And because they had beef with him, they didn't press up on her and do nothing bad to her, but they were just giving her mean mugs, shoulder shrugs all throughout the mall that day, right? And she felt it. So her husband, he became her husband, but her old man's at the time, her boyfriend, his shit became hers and it stunk, right? And she feared for her life. There was plenty of times that we used to pull up and he'd be like, hey, we can't go in. We got to stay out here in the front or go to the back. My lady's tripping. Well, why is she tripping? Because she don't want fucking people to come shoot the house up because you fools are standing in front of it acting stupid. All right, I get it. I said, what about when she used to be in the back twerking and shit? What about that? He said, yeah, them times are gone. Now she realizes how serious this is and what it's all about. She doesn't want you guys here anymore. I said, well, damn, all you had to do was say that. He said, so you're going to leave? I said, hell no. Let's go in the back and grab another beer, right? That's the disrespect that people have towards these women. It's unfortunate, but it's the truth and it's facts. I don't care what your old lady says, bro. We kicking it, bro. We was your homeboys before her. We're going to be your homeboys after. The cool part about it is you're not. More than likely you're not, because if one bad thing comes up about that dude, he's no longer your homeboy anymore, and you're going to be the same dude all out there mean mugging and shoulder shrugging his old lady because of who she's with. Like she's guilty of something. In that case, that's what happened here. Because everybody at that party was in association with the targets or target, whoever it was, right? They got the shit end of the stick too. Unfortunately, children were there. And that's when you have to separate the line from everybody killer to gang member to being a righteous stand-up gangster. See, not all gang members are gangsters. Let's get that fucking straight right now. And not all gangsters are gang members. That's another motherfucking some knowledge you can't get in college. Another diamond I'm dropping on you guys. Anyone who knows the game knows that real gangsters, man, move in silence. Real gangsters, man, they plan and they execute everything they do according to their rules, regulations, and their demeanor and their integrity and their respect for others and themselves, right? A gang member, on the other hand, plays by a little bit of different rules, right? You're dictated to by an older homeboy what you should and shouldn't do, and you're going to do whatever they tell you to do. That's how it is. A gangster ain't going to do that. A gangster is going to do whatever he wants to do at the correct time. That's why, when a lot of people are like, oh, he's a gangster right there. Nah, not necessarily. He's a gang member, but that don't mean he's a gangster. Okay. Some people, man, they join gangs and they're not all in like that. And when it comes crunch time, they get Captain Crunched. Then there are some of those that are very quiet that you don't see them coming, and they end up becoming the man with the master plan that runs and controls all them streets because they're more of a gangster than just a gang member. And some people have it in them, some people don't. I don't. I was never a gangster. Never had it in me, right? I was a victim of circumstances, my own circumstances, and I victimized myself and others. And that's just the fucking truth, right? I could be real. I don't need to lie to kick it. I don't need to tell you I was some big old shot caller gang member because I was never that. You know what I'm saying? I was just another soldado that had a mouthpiece, so I had a little bit of respect, and I was willing to do what others weren't. And that's it. Didn't make me, but it definitely broke me, right? Can't make me or break me. It did me. Shit, I learned my lesson. These guys in Stockton, and I know it's a younger person who did this shooting because they went buck wild and they did not care. They threw all the gangsterism that they learned out the window, and they just went in there to prove a point. Either it was in retaliation for things that happened to them, or is because they wanted to be the first one down to lay a demo. Whatever the case may be, look, I'm not trying to put anyone on blast and speaking for the streets of Stockton. I've had several individuals get at me, hey, you don't know Stockton, man, keep your nose out of Stockton. But you're right. I don't know Stockton's politics, but one thing I do know about Stockton is I've been there, and the griminess of Stockton in certain areas, man, was just a little too much for me to handle. There was chicks at a fucking certain hotel right off the Highway 99 that couldn't close their mouth because they were herped up. Like, it was all bad. I was like, damn, this is what Stockton's about nowadays, right? It's not all the city of Stockton. Respect goes out to the homies in Stockton and to a lot of people that I've met. But let's keep it real. Let's call a spade, homies. Stockton is a dangerous city, man. And there's some dangerous shit going on out there. And there's some very abnormal shit going on out there. That's just the truth. The focus is on Stockton, and the sheriff said there was 50 shots that rang out and 5 guns. Now, let's talk about the 5 guns one time for your mind, right? 5 guns. What does that mean? Does that mean 5 suspects kicked in the door, went in there shooting? Absolutely not. I don't know about you, man. I've been to plenty of quinceañeras where it's nothing but homies, gang members, northerners at the time, right? I've been to, and we were on point. You know what I'm saying? Once you get all the homies get invited to a wedding or a funeral, or we're on point. You know what I'm saying? Who the fuck brings a strap to a wedding? We did, right? We were on point because not even more so because we thought the enemies were going to come shoot it up. Because back in our days, that was not even really happening that much. Now it's like fucking normal. Nowadays, you see the internet, they'll fucking come and stab a motherfucker that's already dead in a casket. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. They'll shoot up the whole funeral. They're going there and slap the dude that's in the casket. It's wild. And that's not gangster. That's very, very, very disrespectful. That's the word, right? Because here's an old rule that I grew up on. And then we'll get back to being strapped up. The rule I grew up on back in the days when you're living that gangster lifestyle was once a person dies, his debt is clean. He's done. You no longer talk shit about him. You no longer disrespect them. I see these youngsters nowadays, they're making songs, smoking on Tuca, smoking on this, just disrespecting a guy who's already passed away. And it's very unfortunate that people do that, right? They lived that life. Maybe they had coming what they had coming, but come on, man, he's gone. He can't defend himself anymore. You done did that. Why you keep on going and going and going and going? Why you want to subject the family to this music or subject the family to constant disrespect of their son or daughter, man? Enough is enough, right? And then at the same time, people there's people literally out there, man, on social media. Yeah, man, them fools had that coming. This, and that. You don't know the real deal. This, and that. Well, you're telling us. So go ahead and just tell us all of it. Fuck it, because you're telling already. Yeah, they may have deserved it. They may have had it coming. They may have had big fucking mouths and ran their fucking dick suckers too much. Whatever the case may be. But them children at that party did not deserve any of that. That situation should have never happened because gangsters don't move like that. Idiots do. Okay, on both sides. The people throwing the party should have known better to have children in an area or around known gang members or people that were targeted. They knew that they were targeted. They knew that they had said some bullshit about other people, man, and that anyone and everyone wanted them, right? Come on, that's Stockton, bro. Motherfuckers are cutthroat. They'll get at you where they get at you. And there's a lot of gangster or wannabe gangsters that are saying, yeah, that's just the way it goes, bro. That's just the way it is. Some people, no, that ain't just the way it is. The way it's going to be is them motherfuckers are going to get arrested, and it's going to be all bad for them when they go to prison, because there's a lot of dudes, big bad wolves, that are waiting to huff, puff, and blow their whole cheeks down. I'm telling you right now, no one's going to appreciate that these facts, that the facts are that these guys killed fucking little babies. Okay? The 21-year-old guy, respect to his family, to his father, to his friends, right? But at the end of the day, if he was living that lifestyle, and I'm not going to say he was, that's part of that life, right? But them babies were not. And people are tired of it. They're not going to stand for it. 50 shots is fucking crazy. Okay? 5 different guns. Well, come on. You can kind of put 2 and 2 together. And anyone with a sound mind will understand that people were busting back and forth. Okay? And you have to think to yourself, if you were part of that party, if you were there and some people came in, and of course your first instinct is to defend yourself and defend people at the party, because I'm hearing a lot of good stories. With this tragedy, there's also a lot of good stories interwoven where people were running to grab kids. That dude, the 21-year-old victim, man, sacrificed his life for the kids, man. He actually was grabbing them and putting them in closets and trying to hide them, and then just got caught, right? So there's a lot of feel-good stories and a lot of real righteousness moves within this tragedy. But the point and the fact is that this is an event that could have been avoided and never should have fucking happened. Period. Okay, now law enforcement wants to drag their feet. Oh, it's going to take weeks, maybe even months for us to find out who did this. Man, are you telling me that out of all that meth smoke right there in the city of Stockton, shout out Stockton, I'm not being disrespectful, but you guys know, even out there in Okieville, there's all kinds of shit going on out there, right? So you're telling me with all the fucking 16s being blazed around that motherfucker, ain't no one going to say nothing? Damn, I want to sign up for that gang. That's a solid motherfucking gang, man. They ain't saying shit. I should have did a lot of crime with them. You know what I'm saying? I'd have been cool, right? Yeah, right. The fact is, someone's already said something and they already got suspects in their sight. And it's going to happen when it happens, and they're going to arrest people. Because, like I said, there's leaders in the city of Stockton, and not gang leaders, but leaders, pillars of the community, people that speak for other people that want to see change. Stockton is a city in Northern California that definitely demands and needs change. And like I told you in prior videos, the reason why Stockton is in the situation it is in, and the focus of this tragedy right now, and so overridden by gangs and by drugs and by bad people in the community, is because the city of Stockton doesn't take care of the people. It only takes care of their own greedy selves, right? And I'm talking about the community people who run it, right? Something has to change because people are tired of the gangs there. They're tired of, their children being subjected to the propositions of joining a gang or even being put out there. It sucks, man, when your kid asks you, why does that guy have a lot of tattoos? Why is he bald? Why is his mustache that big? Why is he wearing all red or all blue? It's hard to explain to your child that that's a bad person, especially when you're covered in tattoos, bald with a big mustache. Get it? Knowledge you can't get in college. So like I said, the sheriff put it out there, a few little tidbits of information. We do know that the suspects were in black hoodies, face covering. There was over 50 shots fired and 5 guns. And again, getting back to what I was saying, as being gang members, man, we were always strapped up, or were supposed to be, right? And so we'd go to these functions with things on us. So I'm not surprised that there was people there. And I'm sure as soon as this person or persons came busting in, there was some retaliatory fire, right? There was some retaliation is a must where they're from. And I believe that once this investigation blows open, that more than just the suspects are going to be arrested. We already know 2 guys were arrested on probation violations due to even being at that party, but there's going to be a lot of people and a lot of questions that are answered that's going to put other people in the hot seat. This is something where one guy got at me, he was like, hey, bro, you don't know about Stockton, man. Motherfuckers are scared out here to say anything. They ain't never going to catch these guys. Yeah, right. Come on, bro. That's what they said about Goshen. That's what they said about El Monte. That's what they said about fucking San Juan. That's what they said about all these situations where things like this have occurred, right? Unfortunately, man, you best believe everyone always gets caught. Okay, and sometimes it's the people you don't even suspect, because you got to understand, I don't know the gang life out there in Stockton, but I do know that they had to get that information that party was going on from somewhere, inside job type shit, or maybe it was just some chick running her mouth. Oh, man, I'm going to the homegirl. She's having a birthday party for her daughter. Is that right? Who's all going to be there? This guy, that guy. Oh, is that right? Homies, hey, let's do our dirt with our mask on, right? murdering motherfuckers, slaughtering motherfuckers, right? And they went on their X-rated shit and did what they did. What they didn't factor in was that they were going to kill children. But how could they not? It's a fucking child's birthday party. Crazy. Anyways, with that being said, that's the update, man. The sheriff did a press conference and is now saying it could take weeks to months to find out who did this. 50 shots fired. They recovered 5 guns. Again, remember, I did a video. They recovered some guns on the roof. So I don't know, man, if any of those guns belong to the shooter. I would doubt the shooter is shooting up a party and then just throws it there. Maybe these guns that they did find, right, are guns of people who were there, I'm sure, right? I'm not saying whose it was, but it obviously wasn't the shooters. Anyways, with that being said, thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive for what I truly believe in. That's the betterment of all people. I appreciate you guys, man. My prayers are for the victims' families, man. That's what matters the most, not the gangs. Bang, bang.